There are so many layers to this case, but one of the most important aspects is leading up to Noah's death and a certain time slot and time difference. What were people really doing and where were they at? Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Welcome if you're currently here during the live premiere. It's one of two videos being made today, with it being Christmas Day tomorrow. I'm just doing it in advance because I'm going to be busy. I'm sure some or most of you will be too. So when you get time, feel free to watch this video and the upcoming one tomorrow, same time as this, on a different case. But in regard to Noah Presgrove, it's important to highlight quite an important time slot difference. I mean, previously, when we were looking into Caden Pressey with his timeline of like 5:15, comparing it with 5:53, what happened in that span of time? Or 3:30 to 5:15. But I think we need to narrow it just a little bit and bring the time back. Whether the motives are true or not, let's just say the timestamps are, in regard to partygoers being out and about, as it's been claimed, partygoers' friends out searching for Noah. Were they really searching for Noah? People online elsewhere will say it's just a cover-up. They were actually doing other things like foul play, maybe. Moving the body to the highway, maybe. And to justify why they're out there in the first place, they're using the, well, we're looking for him because we don't know where he is card. All I'm saying is that's the time slot which we need to take a look at today on Google Earth with some markers, just to visually understand what was really going on at that time, and if it links with any previous stuff, whether it links to Carter Combs' affirmative defense suggestion of Noah being an aggressor, mutual combat with another person. Does that tie in any way possible? So feel free to stick around today, but we also need to put something first and foremost, which will be in the title, and it is just as important, is Noah's family, victim's family, fighting back once again in regard to this subpoena. The OSBI did a counter one to it, and now the family are doing a counter. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to a form of clarity and closure, the victim's family is deserving of that before, like the general public and whatnot. Will it help? Will it make a change for the victim's family when they see investigative information and all of it? Who knows? But if it doesn't harm the case, then it might as well be done, I guess. But I just want to share with you a news article which came about in regard to it and some of the information. And before we go any further, share your thoughts in the live chat box on the right side of the screen if you're watching along live, and for those on catch up, and at any point, any time, for anyone, leave your thoughts and comments below. Questions, answers, thoughts, theories, it's all welcome. You want to support my channel, well, that'll be just below in the pinned message. And if you simply want to watch the recent videos of mine or the full playlist on Noah Presgrove so you don't miss out, that's available top right corner where the I symbol is. Without further ado, let's begin. The news website is KSWO once again, and I believe it was Ashley Chadwick, one of the cousins to Noah, that reshared it onto the Justice page. Title reads, Presgrove family fights OSBI request to block death investigation records. And down here, attorneys argue Oklahoma law allows access to documents in wrongful death suit. This was December 16th, so fairly recent. Just wanted to catch up. Stephens County, Oklahoma. Family of Noah Presgrove has filed a response to the OSBI's request to deny the release of investigation documents connected to the teen's death of 2023. The family subpoenaed the documents earlier this year as part of their wrongful death civil suit, but the Bureau argued that state law prohibited their release. Sorry, I said that wrong. Subpoenaed. Bloody hell. the pronunciation. The family is pushing back against those assertions in a newly filed response. The attorneys argue that the Oklahoma Discovery Code does permit request of this nature, adding that the cited case in the OSBI's argument ended with the Supreme Court ordering documents in the case to be produced. They also said that since pre-trial discovery is already not public, OSBI's concerns about privacy are unfounded. Attorneys asked the court to deny the OSBI's request. A hearing to discuss the matter has been scheduled for early January. Unfortunately, once again, there are more delays in a way and setbacks and playing the waiting game. Who knows how it will go? Let me know what your thoughts will be. Do you think the family will get what they requested and wanted, the subpoena, all that investigative material, or will there be more roadblocks ahead? Whilst we're here, I just thought go on to the main post. As you see there, Ashley Chadwick reposted onto the Justice One. For comments, we'll just have a very brief look because it can get quite heavy. A person called Becky says it's because they know the people who did this and probably related to them. Right, so this is suggesting a cover-up with the OSBI as well. Once again, where did we see corruption? Mentions there. Good old boys club mentality, heard that reference before. Mavis, Lucia, I can't imagine what an emotional rollercoaster this case has been. Yeah, it's a fair point to make. There's a comment here by Justin Roy in response to that article. The family should be allowed to see everything the investigation has uncovered or has done in this very suspicious death. But to be completely honest, I personally don't feel it's been much in my opinion. Had they called it suspicious, knew it wasn't a hit and run, yet fails to search the party house and property, which is the last place Noah was physically seen alive. Make that make sense. I'm also curious to see if the first interviews add up to what the geofence reveals. With that, if you were in a position where you didn't really know much about the case, but the only thing that you knew of was Noah was found on the highway and Noah was last seen at the party house property, you would expect for the party house to be checked, but also thoroughly checked and searched. I agree with that. Whether it be a missing person case, whether they've been found yet or not, dead or alive, should trace back to the origins, ground zero. Now, I believe it was probably some months ago, it might have been BBC claiming that when police had gone round to question the girls or some of the people that were there, some searches were done on the house. Don't know how far or extensive, but that's what the counterclaim is in the background. Let's just see the additional responses. Oh, Ashley Chadwick. Interesting. So this is 1 week ago. I think Justin Roy and Ashley Chadwick had communicated with each other in the past, like a year or two ago. So let's just see what's mentioned here. A reference to George Choden. He's crazy and will dox all of you. Well, from my experience, that said individual hasn't done anything to me. More so, other people out there, like the odd other creator, YouTuber, has tried threatening me in many different ways. So, might be a different experience for everyone. We got Renee Kane. I think I remember that individual on my channel. Let's see. Justin, no, he's a fake account, but they all use it. Ashley Chadwick responds to Justin Roy, says, "Don't act like you wear a halo. Let's not forget the hell of anxiety and shit you have done." Wow, so after reading that, that's rather interesting. Will Ashley Chadwick give some examples there in regard to Justin Roy? I mean, what I will say first of all, it's really eye-opening this and strange because it wasn't that long ago, maybe a week or less, when Justin Roy had commented on my YouTube channel, one of the videos I uploaded on the Noah Presgrove case, and Justin Roy said to me that based on how Warlike Wrath has handled the case and the things that I've said and making a mockery of Noah Presgrove supposedly, Justin Roy said he hopes that Noah's family takes direct action against me. For Justin Roy to say that, and yet there's proof here visually that some of Noah's family members don't see eye to eye with Justin and refer to Justin for causing a lot of anxiety and shit previously, what's been done, that Justin is no angel. It goes to show that Justin is in absolutely no position to be talking about me when I've been doing my own thing, covering the case, and not once has a single Noah Presgrove family member reached out to me negatively. And yet Justin is saying to me that he hopes that the family takes action against me when it's clear some of the family members can't stand Justin. So it makes Justin Roy an absolute hypocrite and in absolutely no position to be talking just based on the general theme here. And when I talk about the general theme, that is the victim's family disgruntled, frustrated by the actions and behaviour of the general public. That some family members have more issues with Justin than they do with me because I've never come across any issues or faced any resistance. As I've always said with most cases, if key people in the background like the victim's family reached out and said, hey, can you stop, or it's not helpful, then I'll step back. It's never happened then. Let's just see what Justin says in response to Ashley Chadwick, the cousin to Noah Presgrove. Nothing compared to George Choden, and I have never created a fake account and doxed and slandered or harassed anyone. So, well, to be honest, Justin, in some ways, how you put your words across, it might not tie in with what you're thinking. I don't know if that makes sense, Justin. It could be a language barrier there, but anyway. So, not sure what you're talking about. Did I get manipulated by a few people? Yes, I did. I think we all did to some extent, and I tried to make that right. But please elaborate, and I apologise for any heartache I have caused you or the family. That definitely was not my intention at all. Y'all asked me to track down all the rumours, theory, and opinions, and that's what I did. So again, I apologise. Let's see what Ashley says to Justin. Oh, wow. This seems quite long. Listen in now. It seems as if you continue to fail to look into the mirror, Justin. One does not need to fabricate fake accounts to slander or harass people. You, Justin, were a huge part of the slander and manipulation. The continuous times of inboxing people, despite what you were directed to stop doing, it continued, not only towards me, but to others, including my family, Noah's family. Allowing people to constantly attack us, you did nothing. It appears you encouraged it. With your two-sided stories, excuses, no apology can fix the behaviour you did and allowed others to do. Furthermore, the people you, Justin, have brought into this, now inserted themselves, that have indeed needed to back off, additionally have slandered others towards the ones we speak to and have brought into our circle. Additionally, I'm beyond sick and tired of this projecting behaviour of playing the victim and finger pointing, Justin. You, Justin, have reached out to certain family members to give your lame apology only because it was directed by someone else for you to do so. Wasn't by your own accord, thought process of doing so. Yet this tends to always circle back to you, Justin. Did I get manipulated by a few people? Yes, I did. I think we all did to some extent, and I tried to make it right. Ashley says to Justin, it's comical how you, Justin, go back and edit your comment to add this moronic apology, then state y'all asked you to do it. So I'm unsure of whom y'all is you're referring to. I certainly did not need you to do a thing other than give information you may have or obtained through this process. No different than what we have stated to anyone else, as well as we all have been preaching this very thing about. One thing I'm not going to do with you is continue to go back and forth with you, Justin. I want to be clear that I don't usually engage with you due to the significant anxiety your behaviour, Justin, has caused me in the past. Protecting my mental health and peace is priority for me right now. However, in good fashion, you came here to target someone else, whether this person is or isn't fake. You don't get to suggest who is or isn't banned from the page. And Justin says, the majority of everything you just said isn't true at all. Also, yes, I knew Noah. Noah has been to my house. This statement from you makes zero sense. And you were at the same meetings I had when the majority of manipulation came from. And you did tell us to find all the rumours, theories and opinions about this case. But just like you, I'm not going to sit here and argue about the past, but I do want to show you a few lies you told, this screenshot being one of them. And yes, Dane Collins is George, whoever that is. He has several fake accounts on all the pages. Just be aware of that. That's all I'm saying. Right. Will this allow me to click on it? Maybe. When was this? Who knows? Ashley Chadwick to Jesse Bell. We didn't even know Justin Roy until this all happened, first off. Secondly, even Madison was like family friend. He's never been around our family outside of some wrestling match. My aunt didn't even know who he was. Hell, not even know his sister. So there's that. Keith knew of Justin just because of school events. Thirdly, there were things that were leaked along with some false information, and who caught the hell of that us. Fourth, Noah did live with my aunt, and she is beyond appreciative of the tireless work we have done, and who said I'm the one kicking and blocking people. Funny how people know everything, guessing because it's on my post, so I get that by default. Kristen Smith hasn't overstepped in this. We have asked Justin to back off due to the behind-the-scene chaos that was created and the hell that came with it. Yet because it's not in the public eye now, here comes the BS backlash. There's a reason for certain things. No one did this out of the blue. It's been an ongoing ordeal. Rob and Cindy, partners in true crime, have told him, as in Justin, along with the LE and investigators. We loved the passion Justin had and how he acted in the beginning. Things had changed over time. Not everything was meant for everyone to know. There are things that we all knew yet kept quiet for our benefit of the case. In poker, people don't show their hand. Kristen's son had a relationship with Noah. Noah has stayed with Hayden and we're together outside of school events. Noah has stayed with Hayden at Hayden's sister's house. Was the weekend for all this BS? Hell no, but here the hell we are. Right, let me just back out of that for a second. That's what Justin provided. Isabel Roy. I don't know if it sounds like a silly question. Is Isabel Roy connected with Justin Roy because of the last name? Well, Isabel responds to Ashley saying, really? Justin has done nothing but try to help solve this case. You may not want to help, but he has turned over tons of stuff to the family. Justin, there's obviously a lot of things you clearly didn't know about Noah. Yes, I knew Noah. Yes, Noah has been to my house. Yes, my son was close to Noah. Your comment caused a lot of problems for no reason, just because you didn't know. Yeah, I'm done here too. And I do apologise for any misunderstanding that I've caused you personally. What's this one all about? BBC to Elizabeth. Exactly, Justin Roy wasn't even part of Noah's life before he died there, but by God, they hang on every word and it's creepy. I mean, he is obsessed with this case. I personally think for the attention, he probably doesn't get a lot of attention outside of this. Things get kind of quiet for him, and behold, he always pulls some crazy rabbit out to get attention. And this one says, he makes me so mad. He never corrects anyone stating he was close to Noah, even though he knows damn well he wasn't. He went on a damn podcast spewing his BS. He claims to have uncovered all this evidence, but no arrest. And when you ask him to show us his info, he always has some type of excuse. Right. And it continues on. I literally just wanted everyone to know this is a fake account by George who will dox, slander and harass you, especially anyone who thinks foul play. And then Judy supports Justin there. It goes on more. I'm just seeing if there's any more responses from, Noah's family. doesn't appear to be the case. So, in one way or another, it's interesting how some of Noah's family members don't quite see eye to eye with Justin. I think that could apply, or had in the past, to Robin Smith as well. When you look at that for the very first time and you see what some of the family members think of Justin, it doesn't look too hopeful. With knowing of what we've seen in the past as well, some police people, I think it was Anthony Linares and another police guy in the background, OHP. We saw a text message here, I think it was iMessage, which was leaked or revealed, and then the call with Caden Pressey, and I think it was Anthony Linares, that call. And basically, these police people have also spoken negatively about Justin in different ways, as in being too full on, reaching out too often, and not having enough true evidence or helpful material to work with. That 2 pieces out of a 5 jigsaw puzzle, not good enough. Most of you probably will remember that. I've done videos of it in the past. What I'm getting at is, if you have Warlight Wrath, who is supposedly regarded as a really dark, evil, manipulative person, really bad individual, really paid off, really screwed over, really controlled and all of that, nothing positive whatsoever, slandered the case, made a mockery of the case, made a mockery of Noah's name, and some of that is said by Justin Roy. And then when we look back at, what Justin Roy has been on the receiving end of, and how people have spoken about him, one or some of Noah's family members speaking negative of Justin, the police speaking negative of Justin, all the key important people and authority figures and stuff within this case have spoken negatively about Justin, and nothing negative about me. Says a lot, doesn't it? So I think a person that's spoken quite negative of by the important people in the case, I don't think they're in a position to be talking in the first place, pretty much. Let's put it that way based on that theme. I know not everyone will see it that way, but, just use common sense, right? If the most important people in the case have a negative outlook of someone, well, then that someone isn't really in a position to be talking on the same themes towards another person. I mean, it was also Victor Presgrove that did Noah's father that called out Justin in the past. And then towards, I think, the start onwards of 2025, when Victor Presgrove set the record straight and basically said that Noah never called or reached out to him for a ride home, even though Justin Roy was working with incorrect information which was handed onto him, which Justin was pushing for quite some time, and then other people started pushing it as well, and it turned out to not be true. So, misinformation, mistakes made. Once again, you could say Justin isn't in a position to be critiquing and having a go at others when they themselves have messed up too. I'm sure that'll lead to some toys being thrown out the pram, but it is what it is. I think what we should focus on now is what's just as important, and that's, or more important, is the timing of the events from the party onwards. If you used to say 3:30, if it's truly true that that's when Noah walked away, whether it be 1 minute later, 10 minutes later, something bad happening to him, 3:30 is obviously a very important starting point, or at least it is in my opinion. And then 4:20 or round about that is the latter one, which is just as important in between that period. And you might wonder why though? Well, if you want to drag in the claim which Jack said, which was lacking the context, and some have said it was probably mentioned based on an opinion by one of the OHP police members and passed it on to Jack as an opinion, and Jack passed that on to Justin Roy, as in Noah passed away around 4 a.m. It's kind of, well, it's not really a midpoint, a true midpoint, but it's like in between 3:30 to 4:20. So it just ties in with when things could have happened. But what we're going to do, we'll head on over to the maps right now on Google Earth, and I can narrate it just a little bit better and clearer, and you let me know what you think as well. Here we are, so we've got a slightly different interface this time round. I've got like some desktop version on mobile. Reason why is because the black bar takes up too much screen on the bottom left corner when in the mobile format. I don't know why it's changed, but this is what we're dealing with now, and hopefully it works for most people. It's not too obstructive, it's the best that I can do. But I want to jump into things immediately, and that's with such as the highway around where Noah Presgrove was found. See, if we go on Street View right now, when it comes to the whole blood discussion, was there enough blood at the highway to justify Noah dying there or being killed or accidentally dying there? Beside that, what you could ask yourself more so is the placement of blood justified? Does that make sense? For an accident to have occurred on the highway, the patterns or the lack of patterns of blood in appropriate areas, would you agree with that? Or does it all make sense? I'm aware myself that you can be hit, you can be hurt, and you can have internal bleeding, and everything may seem fine okay in the moment, and then you could die a little later, but there's no external blood loss. As for Noah Presgrove, with what he had on his head, scalp being ripped, you'd expect blood to come out of that, which to some extent it did, but did enough. And depending on where his head made contact, if it was on the road, somewhere down here, or up there, why is there no like blood skid marks or possible skin marks, trails, patterns, scraping? It could differ from case to case, whether you apply that as a hit and run, whether you apply it as an accident of falling out of a vehicle, whether you apply it to a murder. See, all I want to say is, what we've not seen too much of in recent time, and that's just because of the way things have gone. What I'm saying is people are a bit split. Some believe that when Noah was found on the highway, that's because it was an accident. And those that believe that Noah was killed, murdered and foul play, Noah did not die on the highway, but he actually died at the party house property and then was taken down to the highway and dumped, disposed of, to stage it as something else. If they had tried burying Noah's body to hide it, all that would have done is prompted a further investigation on the party house property, because it's deemed as a missing person case, and the only and last known spot where Noah was at the party house property. So searches would be done there. Cadaver dogs may have been used, trying to pick up a scent. And then if they did find Noah, as in buried, they would definitely know something's up and wrong. You get what I'm saying? So if there is murder, but there's no burial, it's because it's as risky as it seems. It's easier to stage it as something else than it is to bury the body, because all it would do is just lead to further searches at the party house and higher chances of people being caught out. But is it possible to negotiate? I'm not saying that it's the truth, but is it possible to say a murder did take place, but it wasn't at the highway? It was in a different location. Or if you used to say an accident did take place, but it didn't occur down the highway, it occurred at the party house. Or the other one, more simple, is there was possible murder, but it didn't occur at the party house property, and there was no foul play of moving or staging the body. It all happened here. Where you combine one side's perspectives with the opposition and merge it as one. Would anyone ever agree with that? I want to know your thoughts on the matter. But we don't need to go too deep there because it'll just go on and on and on. As I said, focusing in on the times, around 4:15 to 4:20, phone pings around the Sandplank crossing, Avery, Combs and Bryland Sweat searching about. Just those two, supposedly. Over this way, 6:05 that's onwards, we don't need to focus on that. 4 a.m, Noah supposedly died, passed away, and that was shown with Jack Newton and the convo with Justin Roy from Facebook Messenger. If you wonder where some of these timestamps and mentions have come from, as for the origins, I believe it was Brooke Bounds Carter, BBC, in the live chat on some of my older videos. Am I treating it as the absolute truth, not at this moment because we don't have hard evidence of it. But if it's true, the times at least, and that people were out and about in interesting areas, does it match up with the motive as to why they were there? Because I think Justin Roy had mentioned the story or the claims will change with time to try and justify and explain as an excuse why they were out there and for normal reasons, and not that they were actually possibly doing actual foul play. Along the lines of that. 4:22 in the morning on Monday, Carter Combs, Logan Jernigan, Jasmine Millan returned back to the house after searching for Noah. Well, we've seen that Snapchat post selfie of Carter Combs and Logan Jernigan at 4:30. So 8-9 minutes later, after getting back, then taking that selfie, ties in line, I guess. The ones here a bit earlier, I guess the original claims, you want to put it that way, when supposedly Jack told Noah's father at 11:30 p.m. Sunday night, Jack and Carter had gone to sleep. But then it changed to 1 in the morning, Jack went to sleep. Then it changed again to 2 in the morning, which is a bit unusual. But let's just put it this way. These inconsistencies and discrepancies are all before Noah had died, all before Noah had walked away. So how significant are they? See, with Caden Pressey's timeline, or the previous one, there was a lot of discrepancies there, and it was around the time onwards of Noah walking away. So that was more critical. What else do we have here? 3 in the morning onwards, side-by-side rollover, the shower situation, washed by 2 girls. 3:30 when Noah supposedly left heading east. 5:30 when Jack was supposedly woken up by Jasmine about Noah not being found or still missing, and Jack rubbing it off saying he's probably in the field, possibly somewhere. And at that time around 5:30, Jack has a convo with Mikey Lair, who was still supposedly awake and never went to sleep. And Caden said, or interpreted it as that Mikey had gone to sleep at some point but was merely just resting at the end of the day. A small little example of that would be when Caden goes to sleep at 2 in the morning, and then at 2:32 in the morning, Mikey's back outside supposedly underneath a traffic bell with Pepe Guam. And there's a video of that, as we've seen. So, you know, when it goes past a certain time, these people who are supposedly resting but not completely asleep, they could be on the move, moving about here and there. When Caden's oblivious and asleep, who knows what goes on. And also outside of the party house past a certain point at time. Then 5:53, that's later on, which we don't need to focus on today. That was just a quick little recap, but we're focusing in on 3:30 when Noah Presgrove had left the party house and was walking away. Was that during the time of the verbal fight between Jack Avery versus Noah Presgrove, as the wrongful death lawsuit states? And when I say states, I mean just the event, not the actual time given. My interpretation is that it might have happened at the time of when Noah was walking away. Because to try and figure out why Avery would be having a verbal fight with Noah, it could tie in with just before when Noah wanted to sleep in one of the 2 girls' beds and was rejected on both attempts. And then Noah, from what some have said, I think it might have been Justin or more so Caden Pressey, suggested that Noah gave a certain response back, like a fat bitch response to Avery, and it was seen as an insult and possibly humiliating, with being the birthday girl, the birthday party. So she was frustrated and annoyed by that as Noah walked away with the final word, and she wasn't quite done with Noah, wanted to give a piece of her mind to him, which is understandable in a way, but just verbally. But as Noah walked away, I think it was said in the background online that Avery chased after him. So maybe the verbal fight between Avery and Noah was ongoing as when Noah was walking away. I mean, Caden had said that Noah would normally walk off when he feels drunk and before anything gets bad because he doesn't want to bring the mood down. But it looks like on this occasion the mood was already coming down based on some words exchanged. But then why would Jack get involved as well? What would be the reason there? Jack trying to calm things down? or Jack siding with Avery? Well, based on the wrongful death lawsuit, it implies that it was Jack supporting and alongside Avery against Noah. 2-on-1. Might have just been a verbal argument, but it was referred to as a fight. And verbal can turn physical. I'm not saying that those two people are directly responsible for that, but based on the timing around 3:30 and what was said and done just before that with the bedroom debacle, I think it could link together an ongoing verbal fight from the bedroom scenario. So as Noah is walking away, it's like, oh, I've had enough of this. There was arguments and Noah was just walking off into the dark. If certain people were annoyed or frustrated with Noah at that point, they probably wouldn't have gone after or checked in on him because things were a bit tense. If Jack was siding with Avery, Noah's best friend, going against him, then you wouldn't expect in the moment for Jack to really care or see how Noah is after that point if he's already sided with Avery instead. Kind of like betraying Noah on a very small scale. But why didn't Jack stick up for his best friend Noah? I mean, it depends what Jack was doing at the time of the bedroom debacle between Noah, Logan and Avery. Now, Jack Newton did say it was Logan to let see Noah walk off. So if Logan was last to see Noah walk away, then maybe Logan was around when Avery and Jack were having a verbal fight with Noah then, maybe. See, it's just a wrongful death lawsuit that states that event happened, the verbal fight. Never heard of it ever mentioned before in the past, online or anywhere. So, is there any evidence, any hard evidence to back that up, that original claim statement? It'd be interesting to know. The only thing that's close to that event would be what Justin Roy said in the podcast which he did interview with Partners in True Crime a year ago or so. And Justin had said that Noah had an argument with Jack Saturday night and Monday morning as well. Maybe that Monday morning argument, which wasn't physical, is what's been mentioned in the wrongful death lawsuit, but it also included Avery alongside Jack against Noah. There's a little bit more consistency there to believe in it, with the absence of hard evidence. So as Noah's walking away at 3:30, and then what? All we know is Caden said that normally Noah would be gone for 30 minutes and then he would return back to the party, as experienced all other times which Caden had attended a party where Noah was present and had walked off. So then, if 30 minutes pass by and there's no sign, follow up with Noah, then something must be wrong. And around that time, close to 4 a.m, is when a search is conducted. But it's also at the time of when Jack had mentioned later in the case post-death that Noah had passed away at 4 a.m. If Noah had truly passed away, estimated, for example, around 4 a.m, would that be on site at the property or would it be on the highway? I wonder. That wasn't given as an explanation, a follow-up, or an opinion, or an estimation based on location, just the timing. But it was never officially put on the autopsy report. It's been classified as unknown, so it must have been an opinion, but not a fact. But if some authorities can guess or work out possible estimated time of death, then could you estimate the distance that Noah could possibly do from one place to another to then end up dead? I mean, walking away at 3:30, possibly dying at 4, that's 30 minutes. 30 minutes of doing what exactly? More than enough time for Noah to walk down there and then go elsewhere if he really wanted to or needed to. I mean, if you had to give your thoughts and opinions, how long do you think Noah Presgrove spent alive after walking away at 3:30? Did he walk away and then was instantly killed or instantly died? Did he go so far down the dirt road and then at some point something happened to him? This time around, I'm not going all in on the climbing in the back of the vehicle and falling asleep because I've already done coverage of that already. I just wanted to look at it in alternative ways, even on Street View. That's the dirt road down there, and Noah came up it. How far did he come down? And how long did he spend alive for? Until the claim of 4 a.m. when passing away and dying. And beside that, around 4 a.m. when a search was done. I mean, look at it this way. If a search was conducted around 4 a.m. and there is movement around 4 a.m, and Jack has mentioned in a text that supposedly Noah had passed away 4 a.m, it's all coincidental timing tying in with one another, as in when Noah dies, it's the same time of when partygoers are outside of the house and on walkabouts. Kind of interesting, that supposed timing. Bit of an overlap in a way. But the time of when Noah may be dead is the time of when partygoers are searching for Noah. As I said, we've seen the mention in the past about the geofence, geonet, data, phones and phone pings, as long as the phones were turned on. A form of tracking where phones pinged at and why would they be there. See, down this way, if we get to the first sandplank crossing, as said, around 4:18 to 4:20 is supposedly when Avery and Brylan Sweat's phones were pinging in this area. At 4:18 to 4:20, why would they be pinging here exactly? The mention by BBC was because it was during the search for Noah. I mean, put aside the outcome with Noah. Let's just say he was simply a missing person. If you've got a friend that's absent from a party after a prolonged period of time and have not returned back, you're probably going to get worried, concerned and go out searching. Searching about on the property first of all, maybe the field. And then the later one being checking the highway. If they checked the highway first and not other areas closer by, that's kind of eye-opening in a way. Don't know if anyone agrees with that. Unless you base it off patterns and trends that Noah is more likely and more often to walk to the highway before he goes anywhere else, then it would make sense to search the highway first. But I can't imagine that's what Noah would normally do, because not all parties he would attend would be at or near a highway. You'd think more likely that if Noah walked away from the party house or a party house, he'd be hanging about outside or so far down a pathway, cooling off, getting fresh air, calming, cooling down, whatever it may be, and either returning back or someone going out searching and checking for him and seeing he's okay. It was mentioned by Stevie Howard's sister. Is it Stevie Howard's sister, Sarah, I think, that mentioned, even though she wasn't there herself, mentioned to Jasmine that the night before Noah had walked away earlier, so it wasn't the first time, and he was found by the party goers, but didn't give a location as to where. That might have been more so on the party house property. All I'm saying is, if a search was to be done, and if that's the truth, where did they search first? The highway or the party house property? What did they prioritise? Or did they get certain partygoers to go down the highway and then others searching around the party house property? Because depending where they select first, that could be closer to foul play or not, depending the situation. Now, Noah wasn't to be found here. He was later to be found further down that way. Due to limited lighting early hours of Monday, around 4:18 to 4:20, if you were stood here, you probably wouldn't be able to see Noah's body that far down. But it depends if Noah was already down there at the highway at 4:20, or if Noah was being transported down at 4:20. But look, this is the thing what we've got to acknowledge. If the phone pinged here and did not go on any further, then the process in that moment with those said people like Avery and Brylan, just based on what we've been told and seen, couldn't be responsible directly for moving Noah's body on further down if their pings had ended here. But then again, there is a counterpoint, and this is just a counterpoint because of common sense. Phone pings aren't the be-all and end-all. Just because a phone ping ends at some spot doesn't mean to say that that's where they stopped too. A phone ping can end at one spot, one location, but if the person has turned their phone off or abandoned, left it behind, they themselves could have gone on further. Now, if you're talking about a scent of someone, and that only goes so far and does not continue any further, then likely they stopped and then turned back round, kind of like the Kenny Veach case. Or where their scent ended is where they disappeared into thin air, based on certain factors or themes. But we're not basing it off scent in this situation, we're basing it off phone pings, as in a party goer or people in possession of their phones which track their whereabouts and movements. But the moment they turn their phones off, if they go on any further down the highway to come near to where Noah's body was to be found, or they went down there to do foul play and placed a body there, we wouldn't know about their whereabouts from that point because the phones are off, meaning the phones won't be pinging anymore. You could say, based on a theory and a counterpoint, why would certain partygoers have their phones on in the process of disposing of Noah's body to stage it as a hit and run or something on the highway if they're going to allow their phones to ping so far down the highway and then just to turn them off to then continue on with the dirty work? Because you could argue and say that, give and take, you go so far, you show evidence that you are down there, but not enough evidence to say you went all the way. So if anyone said, oh, well, you're on the highway at this time, 4:18, 4:20, what are you doing here? You could have gone on further. You could have seen Noah, or you could have put Noah there. But if the phone ping ends here, there's no additional evidence to say you went any further. But what they can twist it or use, just as a theory, is that, yeah, we're out here, here's the phone pings, here's the evidence, but we're doing it for other reasons. We were searching for Noah. As a search party, we were concerned for our friend. So it shows that they care. It shows that they're worried and concerned, and they've gone out of their way to search about and to see. It's basically used as a cover-up story for what they actually did. And I'm saying that as a theory, not as a fact. And I believe that's what Justin Roy was getting at some point. Phone pings may ping down here on the highway at 4 a.m. onwards, and that could be deemed as very suspicious and odd when Noah was later to be found down that way. So was it used as a cover-up to say we're searching for Noah, but in actual fact they were disposing of Noah? That is just a theory. Some people could be thinking, okay, Ref, where's this exactly going? Well, I'm just looking at it in alternative ways, which I've probably not mentioned or highlighted enough previously. And I said, at the end of the day, these phone pings, timestamps, examples 422 and maybe 420, it's been said by BBC on behalf of others, right? Not seen the hard evidence, not seen the screenshots, not seen snaps, not seen this or that, but it's like based off in believing and hoping that it's true in the first place. But you can believe in those timestamps, but you don't have to believe in what those said individuals were doing at those locations. You could interpret it as an alternative in a different way, as a darker approach or a more innocent approach. It's up to you. And I just wanted to look at it from an alternative way. But let's just say what I said happened, and if it did, that some people were on the way down. Now, it was mentioned online, and I can't remember who by, but I think it was on Facebook, where a person or some was suggesting that Brylan Sweat assisted in helping move Noah's body. If any of that is true, when linking it to here, that they were actually on the highway at that time, And if the phones were turned off past that point to head here and dispose of Noah, we wouldn't know the pings being anywhere further down, so you wouldn't know. But they could have done stuff in the shadows, literally. It might have been, I'm not confident, but it could have been when Justin Roy did an old list in the past, as in who could have been responsible, and that Brylan could have been on the clean-up job, as in helping move the body. None of it is an absolute fact, but it's just what I can remember in the past, and it's just a coincidence how that's been mentioned, and Brylan was supposedly down the highway. As said, if the phone ping ends here, and it doesn't ping down there, there is still that chance that they could be down further down the highway. It's just that their phone was turned off, and that's why it didn't ping any further down. But when it comes to a scent of someone, it's harder to stop. You keep on going, you'll keep leaving a scent behind, a trail. But with a phone ping, you can stop it at a certain point. But would they have turned the phones off knowing that, or it just happened, I wonder. But if that's going on, then what's Carter, Logan and Jasmine doing at 4:22, returning back to the house? So they returned back to the house at 4:22. How long did they spend there when searching for Noah? Maybe about 20-30 minutes. That would be somewhat consistent because BBC did originally say it was from 30 minutes to an hour. More likely it could have been 30 minutes the search was done. But if at 4:22 Carter, Logan and Jasmine had already returned back to the house, and at 4:20 at the latest Ava and Brylan were searching, they were still out when the other girls, were returning back to the house? When you got groups like this, small groups and broken up, some come and go, others are doing other stuff. Is that planned? See, when you get a search party, that is planned. A certain set number of people go one way, the rest go the other. And maybe the odd ones stay put, as in ground zero, in case the missing person or thing returns back to the origins. So you try and cover all the ground in an efficient way and get different people in different groups to search about quicker. I get that. Other times you'll get a grid search or a arm-in-arm search of maybe, 50 to 100 people all walking in a line across a field or across a woodland, arm-in-arm, searching. That can work too. But if you have absolutely no clue where Noah could be, he could be outside the property. He could be in a field north, could be in a field south, could be down this way instead in the woodland area, could be down at Red River, could have gone all over the place. Even if he had gone east, he may have then turned back and then gone the other way west, just because Logan or Jack may have seen Noah walking east. If those same people went back into the house, Noah could have turned back round and gone back towards the house or walked past the house to go west. You never know. Okay, what was it? 3:42 or 3:43 when Jasmine Milan did that snap outside saying, well, Noah's missing. At that moment of 3:42, 3:43, Jasmine, 11-minute time difference when Noah had walked away. Did Jasmine see anything whatsoever? And how long was she outside for? Whilst I've not directly mentioned the type of death at this moment, because you can't really, it needs to be more in general, because we're just focusing on 3:30 to 4:22 instead, based on this time. I've got the markers over here so they don't get in the way of the other ones. That's the only reason why they're marked there, okay? But this mark is specifically here because that's where it was described as pinging. I believe this ping and timestamp was at here to say they've returned to the house. So I hope that makes sense. So you're talking 3:30 to 4:22 of when Noah had walked away. Something most likely happened to him, and then people started searching about. Is it a big span of time? Not so much. When in the past we've used the 3:30 to 5:15 approach of cadence timeline, and even the more general one of 3:30 to 5:53. This particular one here is a shorter time frame window, but when it comes to taking someone out, for example, it doesn't have to take that long. You know what I'm saying? If Noah had been walking off, and it just depends on how long he was alive for a certain event to transpire at that time or onwards, transpire. And that's what I mean. People can say accident, something gone wrong, something gone too far, a fight escalation. And others could say that Noah, I think it was a more recent one, that Noah had been crushed with a vehicle up against that tree there, where that black spot is. But if crushed by a vehicle, because of the height of it, it would target the legs and lower mid-body more than the upper body, unless Noah was grounded in some way. But some of these methods sound like torture methods and very specific, and would drunk partygoers be specific in how they target Noah if any of that was true? I know earlier I mentioned about the foul play and the moving and staging of a body. That's one theory. But in terms of the actual mechanics of the death and the build-up to that, we don't have enough hard evidence material, at least publicly speaking. All we know that Noah walked away at 3:30 and headed east. But are there any phone pings around the time of 3:30 or 3:40 where a phone is pinging down here beside Noah? Because if so, then you could say whoever that individual is, they may know or be responsible. If Noah is all alone down this dirt road and there was no presence of anyone, then how could he die by the hands of another person? There needs to be a presence of someone else or some people. And if that did happen, were any phones turned on for the phones to be pinging at that point? The only thing you can work off from is in the past, when we saw it ourselves on Facebook, when Robin Smith said there is proof, evidence to say that Noah wasn't alone at the time of his death. Do you remember that? It's quite eye-opening, but it was never explained, it was never elaborated. It's interesting for Robin Smith to originally state it that way when the family since had done a subpoena and wanted the investigative material from the police and beyond to look for extra details. But what evidence does Noah's family have, or what evidence does Robin Smith, the aunt, have to say that there's proof and evidence that Noah wasn't alone at the time or around his death? Like, an example would be when Noah walks away at 3:30 and he's somewhere down here, for example. We don't have Noah's phone pinging because he left it back at the house, unfortunately. But if it is, if there's some agreement that Noah had walked away at 3:30 and was down here, if there was another phone ping or pings of other people around the area where Noah supposedly was, then you could say, well, there's the evidence to say that Noah wasn't alone. And then you use that to elaborate and expand from. But we just don't have that public. I wish it was made a bit clearer. I mean, if you're saying just before Noah's death there was proof to say that Noah wasn't alone, you could say, well, that's true because Noah's at that party and in the process of walking away, may have been having that verbal fight with Jack and Avery. So you're not alone. But then after Noah walks off, then he does become alone at that point. So it depends what Robin's referring to, as in evidence of not being alone during the death or evidence as in not being alone just before the death. There is a big difference, and the proximity matters as well. You let me know in the comment section if you agree and feel that 3:30 to 4:22 is a very important time period. All in all, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. I just wanted to provide different perspectives and merge it together with varying thoughts and feelings, and then also include some of the recent news that's gone on, which was mentioned earlier on at the start of this video. Yeah, you can say there's a bit of a wall of silence and there'll be a lot of discussions and fiddling with thumbs, biding time and theorising. It's not always a bad thing as long as appropriate language and wording is used, but as we know, that doesn't always happen. It's unfortunate, but I've made my predictions in the past and they have happened with time, so it's no surprise to me. Maybe for some of you it's no surprise either. But if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the thumbs up, like button, share the video maybe to spread the awareness, and hopefully it starts some newer discussions or alternative perspectives, who knows. As said, I didn't want to go all down the route of an accident or all down the route of a complete murder because I'm just basing it off the time frame, the window, that period, and the whereabouts of some people. Does it correlate to Noah Presgrove's death directly or not? And the timing of when it may have happened, whether it's close to or accurate, as in what Jack suggested, as in Noah passing away at 4 in the morning. You just let me know all your thoughts below. It is welcome. We'll leave it there for now. As I said, 2 videos, as in one now and then one tomorrow. If you have time, or for anyone who needs a distraction, there will be a video, and hopefully you enjoy it. And I know time zone difference does vary, but just to say ahead, have a Merry Christmas and take care. And for anyone else watching in the background too. And of course, Strawberry, if you are watching, I hope you have a good time and a Merry Christmas yourself, Strawberry. With that all being said, thanks for watching, goodbye, good night for now.